What is up guys, Julien Michel here of Social Vignerons. Welcome back to another wine video. Today again we're tasting champagne. We're tasting champagnes made from Pinot Noir. This is episode 19 of the Tasting with Julien series. The world of champagne offers endless discoveries. Every cuvée, every brand, every champagne, every house has its own style, its own taste, its own expression, and that's the beauty of it. Today I'm taking you to the 1000 part of the Champagne region of France to discover a producer that bases its champagnes on the Pinot Noir grape variety using organic and environmentally friendly practices as per viticulture. They use as little sulfites as possible in the crafting of their wines, and they add as little sugar as possible with the intention of crafting, of expressing the Pinot Noir and the terroir as authentically as possible. Today we're tasting the wines of Drappier Champagne House. First, let's introduce briefly the Champagne House of Drappier. Drappier is based in the 1000 part of the Champagne wine area of France. The great thing about the 1000 part, because it's a little bit less famous than the northern part, which counts around the city of Épernay and Reims, is that in the south, because it's a lesser known area, producers have to double their efforts to craft specially well-made champagnes, and they're a little bit more affordable as well, so you can definitely find some fantastic gems. Drappier is based around the town of Urville, and that's relatively close to the city of Troyes. The house was founded in 1808, so they've been making champagnes for over 200 years. They cover about 250 acres of vineyards, that's 100 hectares. More than half of the vineyards are certified organic. What's particularly interesting is that they emphasize on the fact that they use as little sulfites, so sulfite is a preservative in wine. They use as little of it as possible to preserve the natural expression of the fruit. What's also super interesting is that most of the champagnes are based on Pinot Noir, a grape variety. Thirdly, they emphasize on adding as little sugar as possible on the dosage. So let's find out what the result of this combination of efforts to reveal the expression of the 1000 Aube champagne terroir translates into their wines. Today we're tasting the Carte d'Or Cuvée by Drappier, the Rosé Nature, Brut Nature, zero dosage, zero sugar, rosé champagne wine, and finally we will be tasting the Grande Sendrée, the top cuvée by Drappier, 2008 vintage, coming up now. Let's start off with Drappier's Carte d'Or Cuvée. Carte d'Or is Drappier's non-vintage base level, we could say, champagne wines. This retails around $50 in the US, around £40 in the UK. Carte d'Or is based on more than 80% Pinot Noir grapes, the remainder being Chardonnay and Pinot Meunier. The wines are made in stainless steel tanks, but 5% of the cuvée is aged in oak barrels to round up the blend. Non-vintage cuvées are always a great introduction to the style of a particular house. So let's find out what the Drappier style is all about with the Carte d'Or. Oops, that popped much faster than I expected. Let's pour this little baby. So Carte d'Or boasts a very shiny color, loads of gold hues. It's very shiny, it's very brilliant. Drappier prides itself with the color of the champagnes because they use so little sulfur, and sulfur tends to capture some of the color of the wines. It's not the case here, and you can tell that for a non-vintage cuvée there's a lot of shiny hues to this Carte d'Or. The champagne smells super elegant, very fruity, as I often find with Pinot Noir expression in Champagne and sometimes even in Burgundy. A lot of citrus expression, a lot of grapefruit, a lot of lemon. It's very shiny and zesty and uplifting. Hints of wood smoke and hints of hazelnut, toasted hazelnut. It's smoky, it's buttery, it's a little bit of brioche, nice and elegant to smell. Carte d'Or is extremely soft and extremely round on your palate. It's like a cloud of foam, silky texture. An explosion of citrus. It's riper on the palate than it is to smell at. Orange peel, orange marmalade. There's a big burst of hazelnut, a bit of toffee, caramel, but the marking thing is at the softness, the dryness. This is a super dry champagne, Brut 101, but the bubbles are so fine, the body is so refined, the foam on your palate is so soft, it makes for an incredibly silky, soft, smooth and charming experience. Super fruity, super pungent, super elegant. It is long, it is layered, but it is soft, it is charming, it is a fantastic wine for serving by itself on aperitif, on canapés, on cocktails. Soft, mild entrees, super versatile. For a non-vintage cuvée, you're getting a world of complexity, many layers of fruit, spices, oakiness, brioche, buttery characters. There's a lot going on in this Carte d'Or. Definitely a non-vintage cuvée you're gonna be surprised by. If you can find this for $50, go for it. You should get great value out of Carte d'Or. But what about Drappier Rosé Nature? This is 100% Pinot Noir, no Chardonnay, no Pinot Meunier, 100% Pinot Noir, zero added sugar. This should be a very interesting wine. It's rare to have a rosé that is made only from Pinot Noir. So let's open up this little baby. Oh, that popped really quickly as well. So Rosé Nature is made using the saignée technique for making a rosé. There are two ways of making rosé wine. One of them is direct pressing. You take red grapes, you press them, and you get whatever juice, whatever pink juice you get out of it. The other technique is using the saignée, which is used here, which is putting all the grapes, the red grapes, into a tank and leave it to macerate, to extract the color from the skins and infuse the color into the juice. This is a saignée. The grapes were put in a tank for about 3 days in cold temperature to macerate and extract the right amount of color and aromas and flavors. No wine is aged in oak barrel. This is 100% stainless steel tanks, the idea being to preserve the expression, the freshness of the fruit. As you can see, it has a pretty elegant, relatively pale but not so pale salmon pink color, definitely salmon pink. It has some purple hues and touches of orange, very elegant. The nose is extremely precise and surprisingly fresh. Fresh strawberry, it's like smelling in a basket of fresh strawberry. There are hints of brioche and hints of toasted roasted biscuits, caramelized cookies. Very soft, very elegant, very precise aromatic profile. The palate is surprisingly savory. After smelling such a fruity, upfront fruity nose, the palate is surprisingly dry, a lot of acidity. You can definitely tell that this wine hasn't had much sugar added to it. It tastes somewhat like a strawberry marmalade, but without the sugar. A lot of delicate berries. I'm getting some raspberry in there, I'm getting some blueberry. It is like biting into a blueberry, a burst of explosion of blueberry, ripe red berry flavors on your palate, and it's dry and it's acidic. This is like a blueberry juice with a bit of strawberry but bone dry. Lots of acidity, lots of tension, extremely precise aromas. Delicate tannins tickle the side of your palate, it makes you salivate. Certainly a wine to be paired with food. It demands food, it demands something, some richness to balance the wine out. But bubbles are very soft, the body is oily and coats your palate, much like in the Carte d'Or, and we're starting to see a house style here. Round, soft, super fine bubbles with bone dry, crisp acidity. This seems to be the style of Drappier. Elegant, complex, round, powerful champagne wines bursting with flavors, quite savory, salivating, but soft, and Pinot Noir softness and the Pinot Noir generosity. Certainly a lot going on, a lot happening in the Rosé Nature by Drappier. A different style of rosé wine, not your obvious super fruity rosé style, but a rosé with drive, a rosé with minerality, a rosé with focus. And now to the prestige cuvée, to the top cuvée, to the vintage cuvée by Drappier. We're tasting Grande Sendrée 2008. So Grande Sendrée is actually a single vineyard champagne wine. It's also vintage, so it's only made from grapes from that particular vintage. 2008 here. 2008 is considered one of the top vintage of the years 2000 in Champagne. The cuvée took its name from this block that got covered in ashes, covered in cinders during a huge fire in Urville that destroyed the whole town of Urville during the 19th century. Grande Sendrée came from that vineyard that got covered in ashes at the time. So single vineyard, Chardonnay and Pinot Noir blended together. Oh, this one didn't pop by itself. About 35% of the wines for the Grande Sendrée were aged and matured in oak barrels for about 9 months to round up the body, to give more depth to the blend. A very shiny, quite bright lemon yellow color for a 10-year-old champagne. I was expecting deeper, more amber color, but it is still very, very bright. This wine has spent 7 years lying down sur latte on its lees in the bottles. Most certainly, straight away from the nose, we are dealing here with a much deeper, much denser aromatic profile. There is a lot more complexity, some beeswax, it's a little waxy. There are a lot of white flowers, elderflower, some lilies, touches of lemon confit, a heap of hazelnut and blonde caramel. A complex, evolved nose. The palate is the true revelation in this Grande Sendrée. You get the opulence in the body, the coating element of the Pinot Noir, much like the other two wines, but you can definitely tell the Chardonnay targeted a more focused acidity on the palate. The spectrum, the amplitude of flavors is phenomenal. From a wealth of very fruity flavors, grapefruit, lemon, stone fruits, pear, green apple, a lot of vibrancy from the fruit character, to more wax, honey, white flowers, sweet spices, nutmeg. It is also a very dry wine, but it has a lot of savory elements to it, and there's a lot of length, a lot going on the background, always with a very, very driven focus of the acidity. A very complex and opulent, almost ashy, yeah, maybe you can taste the ashes or a ashy element, a ashy character to this wine. So a wine with a lot of character, a lot of breadth, a lot of length, a lot of complexity, a lot to discover. This is the type of champagne wine that you want to spend minutes and minutes and minutes tasting and retasting, and every sip, every new sip gives you new flavors, new aromas, new discoveries. A very complex, enjoyable, driven wine. So certainly the Grande Sendrée brings in much more concentration, a wine, a champagne wine for connoisseurs, a little bit harder to appreciate because you have to go into the minerality, into the ashy character, into the salivating feel, into the length of the wine to appreciate it. But if you do go and dig and spend the time analyzing the wine and enjoying and discussing and flattering the wine, you will enjoy Grande Sendrée deeply. Grande Sendrée retails at around $100, $110 in the US. For that amount of money, you're getting more than 3 times the Carte d'Or in a way, because the flavors, the complexity is packed up into the bottle and there is a lot of length to it. Grande Sendrée 2008 is a winner of a champagne. So the Drappier style overall. Drappier wines are fascinating because they are dry, they are savory, and it's all about the expression of the fruit, the expression of the aging, the expression of the winemaking technique. The sugar doesn't bother, the sugar doesn't distract your tasting experience. It allows your mind to absolutely focus on the wine, and that's what I love about them. What I also love about them is the minerality combined to the softness and the roundness of the Pinot Noir, and you certainly get this from Carte d'Or and Brut Nature in particular. The Grande Sendrée, because it has more Chardonnay, is a little bit more austere. It has a sharper acidity, and the house style is a little bit less obvious in here. Which wines would I go for? For me, the Carte d'Or is an absolute revelation for a non-vintage cuvée. There is so much going on here. It's soft, it's driven, many layers of different fruits, as well as the brioche, the hazelnut, and the nutty, the spicy character that you expect from a great champagne. It's all packed in here for a reasonable price. This is a great buy, a great revelation for me. The Rosé Nature is a very interesting driven rosé, a rosé for pairing with food. Go to a restaurateur that knows what he's doing with this champagne. If you get recommended Rosé Nature by Drappier at a restaurant from a chef who knows what he's doing, it's probably going to be a great experience, and I recommend you go with that. The Grande Sendrée, connoisseur wine. You have to know what you're buying to buy the Grande Sendrée. It is certainly high up there with some of the prestige cuvées and the other vintage champagnes that I've tasted. High up there with the Dom Perignons, driven, focused, super complex, an excellent 2008 vintage here. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Tasting with Julien. I will be back with more champagnes, more sparkling wines, some red wines coming up from different areas of the world. We are going to continue exploring the wines of all the world. If you are a producer and you want to see your wine featured here, let me know in the comments. If you are a wine lover and you would love me to review some wines, your favorite wines, also let me know in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. You and me, let's continue changing bit by bit the world of wine. I borrowed this from Gary Vaynerchuk, obviously. Stay tuned to the Tasting with Julien experience, and I will see you soon in the champagne and wine worlds.
Load that. Yeah.